Years later, everyone rewrites history and says Kurt ended Guns N' Roses and the 80s bands. Do you ever get into that conversation in Seattle and just get pissed off or defensive? Or?
Yeah, we don't have, in Seattle, like we're a private club, right? We don't have those conversations in Seattle. I think if you were a band then, you're pretty young, right? You're in your 20s? Yeah. So if you're a band then, like I'm really good friends. In 4 nights, Chris Novoselic's gonna be doing what Alan's doing in Seattle, right? And we're good friends. If you've gone through, if you were a band then, it was completely different than how I've heard it be told. You were just in a rock band, and every rock band was like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. Everybody was kicking ass at that point, and we were kids, man. And some people were saying some shit, and who cares, right? Yeah, our band, nothing really could affect our band. Our band was so big at that point. But I think Nirvana and those bands, that was needed at that time. I had the record because we were on the same label as them. I had the record. I think I want to say I had it like 6 months before it came out. And there's a weird thing because I'm from Seattle, so there's super pride. We're like a little podunk town up in the Northwest. So anything that comes out of Seattle, we had heart, and sort of like Jimi Hendrix, like part of his youth. But we claim him.
You can claim
him
because it's not where it happened.
Yeah, it's not where it happened. We claim him. But that was it. And then suddenly we had all this Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, and Nirvana hit, and Pearl Jam. For me, it was super killer. To hear other stuff out in the press was a little heartbreaking because I was in a band, and but yeah, history's been rewritten a little bit. Probably, you're right. Yeah,
that stuff is funny. I know John Lydon, Johnny Rotten, was here with his book a couple weeks ago, and reading his book, everybody says punk came in because everything sucked. They hated everything, and it came in to wipe the slate clean. You read his book, and he talks about liking the Bee Gees and Todd Rundgren and all these different bands, and he's like, I didn't want to do this because I hated everything.
Yeah.
I didn't want to imitate everything.
Right.
But I didn't hate music. That's not what made me go and do this.
Steve Jones, who's the guitar player for the Pistols, he's a good friend of our family's, and I've known him for a long time, and he would have to he loved Boston during that, and he would secretly go in his little flat and play along to Boston. But he said punk rock to him was kind of, that in England at that point was kind of debilitating because you couldn't say what you liked, so maybe it had the opposite effect. Is his,
yeah.